Yo, what is going on, guys? J.Yumeko here, and today we're back with some more If My Heart Had Wings. Now, a couple things before we get into it. For one, I will be turning the character voices on now. With these videos now, with me trying to get these videos now to 2 hours long, I am trying, well, specifically for games that have the voice option available, I will more commonly now be turning those on. Just as, you know, to save my voice the pain and suffering. So that's my first thing. Do I have anything else? No, not really. That was actually it. Anyways, last time we left off, us and Kotri got a little bit freaky, might you say. The well, who caught Hanako? I think her name was. I think Hanako kind of caught us, sort of. She knows what happened. Is what I'm trying to get at. But yeah, so we're a thing now. We're banging. That's really all that I remember. Anyways. On a certain day of summer. We came to school after quite a long break. Today is a school day. All our classmates who haven't seen each other in 2 weeks are now catching up on the latest news.
Minase, omae, Habane-san to tsukiyatte tte honto ka?
What's up with that? You should start with something like, "Hi, it's been a while," or "How have you been?"
それはお前が質問に答えてからだ。
Yes, I am.
しょー、俺もこっそり狙ってたのに。
Well, that's too bad. Mind telling me where you got that news?
上司があっちで噂してたぞ。
Meanwhile, on the other side of the classroom.
水瀬君と付き合い始めたの？やっぱり仲良かったもんね。いやー、あの告白は伝説に残るわ。録音してなかったのがもったいないくらい。どんな告白だったの？それがね、空の上で。
Hey, what kind of rumors are you spreading?
何って葵が作った伝説だよ。
Don't just go ahead and declare it a legend. Kotri, stop it too.
いや、自慢したい気持ちも多少ありまして。お似合いだと思うよ。っていうか、まだ付き合ってなかったのって感じよね。
Hearing all that actually didn't feel bad, but I'm embarrassed, so stop it already.
でも黙っててこそこそ噂されるよりいいんじゃない？
In our second year, Kotri had a very bad attitude. Now she's normal and has more friends, but there are still girls who hold a grudge for that time. So again, I wanted to prevent any weird rumors by telling everyone in advance. But there's no need to go so far and talk about my legendary confession.
そういやそうね。
I knew it. It's just for our own amusement. However, Kotri didn't seem all that displeased, so I couldn't really complain.
ねえ、いつから付き合い始めたの？一緒の寮に住んでるんでしょ？それってどうなの？
Kotri was barraged with questions, and then
ハバネさんはいるかしら？
the student council president came into our classroom. Good morning, President.
おはようございます。水瀬葵くん。おはよう、生徒会長。何か私にご用かしら？ソアリング部の活動状況を聞いておこうと思って。あなたたち、学校内で活動していないでしょ？
Akari faced the opposing teachers and acknowledged us as a club. I guess she feels responsible for us.
新しい拠点が見つかったおかげで順調よ。機体の改良も済んで、先日テストフライトもしたし。
When Kotri mentioned the test flights, the girls behind us started whispering. That's where the legendary confession happened. It seems this will be joke material for a while.
そう、もうそこまで。さすが、やる気があるクラブは違うわね。あかりさんのおかげです。本当にありがとうございました。やる気があるクラブから活動の場を奪うなんておかしいと思っただけよ。今度テストフライトを見に行ってもいいかしら？ぜひ来てちょうだい。生徒会長の判断が間違ってなかったってわかると思うわ。
Akari smiled gladly when Kotri said this so confidently.
楽しみにしてるわ。
Akari the goat. Even though it's a school day, it doesn't mean we have classes. We're pretty much only showing up, that's all. The homeroom teacher reminded us of the homework that we have during summer break. There wasn't anything after that. That's why students who went home for summer break, like some of our boarders, didn't come. Ageha, are you heading straight to the secret base after this?
うん、今日荷物が届くんだ。それ受け取らないと。
It's about our club activities. Our destination was, of course, our secret base.
生徒会長、あっと驚かせてやらないとね。
Kotori was in a great mood since Akari-san promised to come and see the test flight. Well, it can't be helped. It's about showing off our pride in the glider we built ourselves. While thinking about this, we were waiting in front of the elevator. Ageha involuntarily raised her voice, but quickly shut her mouth. From across the hallway, a short and stout middle-aged teacher appeared, walking heavily. Oh, this fucker.
Tobioka.
When Tobioka saw us, he approached us with a sarcastic smile.
Yo, お前たち。先生に会ったら挨拶くらいしたらどうだ?
Oh, sorry, Tobioka, you're a teacher? Oh, my bad. I thought you were more akin to Freddy Krueger, Pennywise the Clown, something like that.
Jeez, Tobioka sensei.
After former robotics club member Ageha had greeted him, I also bowed my head. Only Kotori remained defiant and glared at Tobioka like a watchdog intimidating a burglar.
お前ら、学校に許可なく校外活動をしているそうだな。
許可はもらっています。ちゃんと生徒会の承認は得ていますから。
生徒会？所詮は子供の集まりだ。勝手な真似は許さんぞ。
別に許してもらわなくて結構よ。
Kotori muttered to herself, but it reached Tobioka's ears. Tobioka frowned with disapproval. If you say our activities are off campus and unrelated to school, that means the teacher has no right to complain about them, right? I unintentionally snapped too. Let's go, bro. Let's dog on this man. As expected, Tobioka glared at me sullenly.
倉庫から盗まれたグライダーの件がある。犯人が学校と無関係な活動にそれを使用しているなら、処罰せねばな。
Well, I have no idea what glider you're talking about. It's gone missing, and as you can see, our glider is completely different looking, you old fuck. He hit us where it hurts.
せいぜい問題を起こさないよう気をつけることだな。
With his parting threat, Tobioka lumbered away.
ムカつく。なんなのよあいつ。まあまあ、揉めてもいいことないって。そうだけど。
This guy just has to show hostility every time he sees us.
せめて夏休みが終わるまでは穏便に行きましょう。そうね。モーニンググローリーを飛ぶっていう大目標を邪魔されたくないもんね。
Again, I say this every fucking time I rant about Tobioka, but he's literally like, I feel like he's basically if some random senator was like, oh yeah, guys, we shouldn't, we shouldn't try and land on the moon, right? Like, oh, that's such a stupid thing to do. Why would we want to land on the moon? Why would we want to invest in space exploration? It's like, bro, what the fuck do you mean? This is cool as shit. With these words, Kozuri settled down. I impatiently pounded on the elevator button, urging it to come faster. When it finally arrived, the door opened and the passenger walked out. We made space and...
Yeah, 君たち、おはよう。
That is not at all how I expected her to sound. Amane-senpai?
びっくりした。なんであまねちゃんが乗ってるの？お、ほん。違うぞ、君たち。私はあまねちゃんではなくて、望月先生だぞ。
She said proudly.
去年までモラトリアムの延長戦やってたくせに。その望月先生が何をなさってるんですか？
If I recall correctly, you'll be a lecturer for the second semester, right?
打ち合わせというやつだ。いろいろ大変なんだ。何せ大人だからな。
She said, putting on airs. As usual, her boasting was seriously off.
そんなに大人になりたかったんなら、さっさと卒業しとけばよかったのに。おお、それ言っちゃうか。じゃあな、君たち。後で秘密基地に顔を出すよ。
Mochizuki-sensei gallantly swaggered down the corridor. The students who knew Senpai were watching her with dumbfounded expressions.
あまねちゃんが学校にいるなんて不思議な感じ。いいなぁ。私も特別講義受けたい。
If you want them, then you should try applying for them. Meeting Amane-senpai so suddenly blew away the anger left from the meeting with Tobioka.
じゃあ私は先に行くね。急がないと荷物来ちゃうから。
Alright, catch you later. Ageha hurriedly... What was I saying? Ageha hurriedly went ahead. Well then, we should be going too. I took Kotori's wheelchair handles and turned towards our secret base. There were only a few students heading home, but there was a strange liveliness in the air. School days during the summer holiday always felt a little special. After I confirmed nobody was nearby, I asked Kotori, "How have you been since then?" Are you fucking pregnant? You know, all that time some blood came out and all. Kotori blushed and hung her head as she replied,
しばらく痛かったけど、もう収まったから。
I see. After our first time, facing each other has been somewhat awkward, but we couldn't talk about this kind of stuff when others are around.
痛かったけど、嬉しかったから。葵くんに初めてをあげられて。
Yeah, I was happy too. I replied shyly. Oh god, I really should have turned the voices on earlier before that last episode, huh? It's times like these that when I'm glad to be behind Kotori and not have to show my face. Several seconds of silence. Anyway, let's go. I pushed the wheelchair again and we moved forward.
どう？シート合ってる？うん。私のお尻にジャストフィットしてる。
She answered nervously, sitting in the cockpit. Kotori was checking the seat design for her. We finally finished. Is what I wanted to say, but...
まさか業者が部品を間違えるなんて。
The package that Ageha went ahead to collect ended up containing different parts than what we'd ordered. Thanks to that, Kotori's cockpit was still incomplete.
発送のやり直しで早くても明日になるんですよね。ってことはテストできるのは最速で明後日か。
Hearing the conversation, Kotori was timidly trying out the control stick.
それが操縦桿で、こっちのがラダー操作ね。
There were no pedals in Kotori's cockpit. In addition to the control stick, there was an unfamiliar lever. So how is it?
よくわかんないけど、いい感じ。でも
Kotori looked at me somewhat apologetically.
前の席でよかったの？
We installed Kotori's cockpit as the front seat in our two-seater. Ageha looked over at me. I should explain. No problem. It's not that this cockpit is exclusively for your use. It only has the rudder operated by hand. Once I get the feeling of it, I'll be able to handle it as well.
どうせなら前に乗って飛びたいんじゃない？もちろんよ。
Kotori curbed the excitement in her voice. She was looking at the control stick eagerly, like a child about to unwrap Christmas presents. The desire to fly right away oozed from her entire body.
悪いけど、もうちょっとだけ待ってね。
And we're still lacking some parts, so it can't be helped. In other words, until we complete that, there won't be any tests.
そういうこと。
Kotori was helped out of the cockpit and onto her wheelchair, but her excitement didn't cool down.
ちゃんとできてるじゃないか。
Amane-senpai, who showed up out of nowhere, stuck her head inside the cockpit as soon as Kotori had gotten out. When you come here, at least say something, please. Amane chattered as she checked out the cockpit that she designed.
ねえ、あまねちゃん？あまねさん、呼んでますよ。おお。
Asa-chan tapped her shoulder and Amane-senpai raised her head.
なんだ？
Kotori approached senpai.
あまねちゃん、ちょっとかがんでみて。
Amane-senpai was reluctant and cautious. Apparently, she remembered how Kotori threatened to chop her head off some time ago.
いいから早く早く。
Senpai leaned down as she was told, and Kotori, with both hands, hug.
うわ。
And she hugged her.
ありがとう、あまねちゃん。私のために設計図書いてくれて。
Kotori was hugging her, resembling a koala holding onto a eucalyptus tree and swaying sideways.
嬉しいぞ、小鳥。大好きだよ、あまねちゃん。
When Kotori was satisfied with conveying her emotions, she finally let go.
みんなもありがとう。あんたたちは最高の仲間よ。
Kotori got so emotional she seemed about to cry. Everyone looked at her like she was exaggerating.
次のテストで早速飛んでもらうからね。
Kotori nodded silently with a stiff expression, but her eyes betrayed her excitement. It's gonna be a fun one. That's interesting though. I mean, obviously it's not impossible, but yeah, it looked like well, actually I don't know, because it kind of looked like there was a lever on the side where normally it would be the throttle, but maybe that actually was the throttle. Maybe there's a lever somewhere else. Crap, I'm late. But you have to control the rudders like that. That's definitely gonna be a thing to try and, override your muscle memory. My mother called me, so after club activities were over, I dropped by my house for the first time in a while. There was some stuff related to my job as a dorm mother to discuss. I guess another reason that it's good to show myself at home once in a while. I have to get back quickly and get dinner ready. I'm home. As soon as I got into the entry hall, Asa-chan pointed at me and shouted.
Kotori-senpai!
What is it?
Kotori-senpai! Kotori-senpai! どうしたの朝？なぬ？
What was that just now? I tilted my head in wonder, and then Kotori came speeding down the hallway in her chair. She approached me very quickly, sharply braked at the last moment, and grabbed my hand.
Aoi-kun! Aoi-kun! Aoi-kun!
What's wrong?
Asa!
As she was called out, Asa-chan stepped forward.
小鳥先輩はテストの日が待ち遠しすぎてうずうずが止まらなくなってしまったのです。そんな小鳥先輩の心を満たしてくれるのは葵先輩だけ。もう2時間も前からけなげに帰りを待っていたのです。
Really? Sorry I'm late. But why did she have Asa-chan explain this? Here you go, a present. A 6-pack of Haagen-Dazs. There's some for Asa-chan and the others too. I got them for my mother.
ご飯の前に食べていいの？
Sure, go ahead. Then I'll be a little late anyway.
耳だわ。ご飯の前に食べるという背徳感がまたたまらない。ねえ夜ちゃん、半分こしようよ。いいわよ、姉さん。
We all ate Haagen-Dazs happily. I didn't see Kaneko-san anywhere. I wonder if she went out somewhere. Hey, Kotori, do you have any plans for tomorrow? We can't do any tests or work due to the missing parts tomorrow, so it's a day off from club activities. Kotori shook her head while eating ice cream. Then would you like to go see a movie?
映画？
Yeah, my mom gave me some tickets. I thought we could go together if you wanted. Apparently, she got some free tickets from a customer. She said she's giving me these as a reward for my work as a dorm mother, even though she just got them for free. That's very like my mother. Kotori called out Asa-chan and they started whispering.
小鳥先輩、これってデートのお誘いですよ。デート行くといいと思います。でも映画か。
You don't like movies? Even though they were whispering, I heard everything, so I cut in.
そんなことないよ。見たい、葵くんとなら。でも。
Kotori stopped eating her ice cream and was deep in thought. I think you'll be alright. The theater's at Windy. It's completely handicap friendly. Kotori stared at me fixedly, wondering how I guessed what she was thinking about.
じゃあ、いいかな。
So it's decided.
よかったですね、小鳥先輩。
Asa-chan said, and Kotori giggled. Well then, I have to start getting dinner ready. Give me a hand when you're finished, okay? Kotori nodded and started to eat faster. The next day. It was a nice morning. Sorry to keep you waiting. When I finished my preparations and left the room, Kotori was waiting at the entrance. What's wrong?
なんかいつもと違うね、葵くん。
While I answered, "Oh really?" I was feigning ignorance. I looked at myself. To be honest, I did dress up a little. After all, today we're going out on a first date. We've been going shopping or for walks together, but this is actually the first time it'll be just the two of us going out somewhere to spend time. Since normally I didn't dress too stylishly, I decided to wear something a little better today. Kotori groaned as she looked at her own clothes.
私も着替えてこようかな。
Isn't what you're wearing fine? It's cute and it suits you. That, and we have to consider movie times. Kotori reluctantly nodded.
じゃあハト、行ってくるわね。お留守番頼んだわよ。わー。
Kotori took hat off her lap, and then I took her wheelchair and pushed it out the door.
すごい人ね。
Today's Sunday. It's typically everyone's day off, so Wendy was fairly packed. It seems that the crowd overwhelmed Kotori a little.
それにすごいおしゃれ空間ね。
Wendy was just built recently, so even the design of the building is catered towards fashion. People coming and going were all dressed up in their best clothes and made the whole place look gorgeous. The last time I checked something other than the food store in the underground shopping center was when An-chan brought me along. I remember that back when I was fine because I was with the others, but when I saw it for the first time, I felt somewhat out of place. Well, I came here from my carefree hometown, but... Kotori, you grew up in Tokyo, right? Was you used to places like this? I imagine there are many shopping malls like this in Tokyo.
お母さんやお姉ちゃんとなら来たことあるけど、それも昔のことだもん。でもすごくデートって感じがする。
Well, yeah. It feels extraordinary, no doubt about it. For us, compared to living in the same dorm and seeing each other every day, this is a very fresh sensation.
生まれて初めてのデートだもの。特別なのがいい。
Dang, bro. Third base before the first date, that's wild. Kotori said quietly. Although I guess technically that'd be home plate, right? Really? I was sure you'd have experienced at least one date. Kotori shook her head.
今日が初めてよ。葵くんとが初めて。まさか初体験より後にやってくるとは思ってもみなかったけど。
Well, sorry. Kotori looked down at her clothes.
やっぱりちゃんとよそ行きの服にすればよかった。
Why don't you want something different from your usual clothes? Why did you want something different from your usual clothes?
気合入ってるって思われるの恥ずかしかったんだもん。でもいいな。これ一番気に入ってるやつだから。
Yeah, they suit you. Come on, let's go to the cinema. As one of Japan's leading commercial complexes, Wednesday also had a multiplex. There were various movies playing right now. The tickets I got from my mom were good for any of them. Which one do you want to see?
これ。
Surprisingly, Kotori chose a war movie. She's probably attracted to the propeller-driven fighter on the poster. It was set in Europe during World War II. It was a romance story of an Air Force pilot and his lover. The subject of war was taken somewhat lightly, but it was just about right as a movie for a date. Kotori and I were excited by the flight scenes. The romance seemed heartbreaking for a moment, but it delivered a happy ending that made our hearts flutter.
かっこよかったよね。最後のドッグファイト。恋人を乗せて夜空のデートもすごくロマンチックだった。
Even after the movie was finished, Kotori's excitement didn't lessen. Those kinds of retro planes are interesting too, huh?
ええ。でもエンジンで飛ぶなんてちょっと邪道ね。
Blasphemous! Excuse you! I wouldn't call that blasphemous, but I was also thinking about how much the glider differed from those kinds of planes while watching the movie.
ねえ、どこ こかにゴーグル売ってないかしら。あれ絶対に必要だと思うの。
I think that's only for open cockpits. You want to use them during the test flight? Kotari nodded. Well, you don't need them. The glider has a canopy. During flight, the canopy's shut. The only time it opens is when you're falling, completely unable to control the glider and have to use a parachute to escape. Well then, we need to take care of our stomachs too. How about lunch?
それ私が出すね。
What's with this all of a sudden?
だって映画おごってもらっちゃったから。
I told you, I got those tickets from my mom. In addition, they were free tickets.
でも
At least let me treat you to lunch. Usually I don't get too many chances to do boyfriend-like stuff. We only just started dating, but our relationship hasn't changed all that much so far. Even before we started dating, we were getting along and always together. The only difference is that now that we've confessed to each other, though we've also kissed and did other stuff.
そんなことないもん。葵くんいつでもとっても彼氏らしいよ。優しいしかっこいいし十分すぎるくらいだわ。
You think so?
そうよ。この私が言うんだから間違いないわ。
Kotori assured me proudly. As usual, she was full of confidence about strange things. I'll treat you to lunch. I get an allowance from working at the dorm.
わかった。
So what do you want to eat?
ね
Kotori opened the floor guide. Matching Wendy's atmosphere, there are several fashionable restaurants here.
ここがいい。
Let me see. Seriously? Kotori nodded vigorously. Taiokan, a ramen restaurant ran by Masatsuku's dad.
私ラーメンって食べたことないの。
Huh?
そんなに驚くところ？
No, it's just... It's a food universally loved by everyone, like beef bowls or curry rice.
うちじゃ外食するときラーメン屋に行こうなんて誰も言わなかったから。
That's right. Kotori's family was somewhat well off. Her father was the kind of gentleman who would wear a suit even during summer. Alright, it's Taiokan then. And so we headed towards Taiokan.
美味しかった。ごちそうさま、葵くん。
Kotori said with satisfaction while patting her stomach. You're welcome. It made our date feel just a little less grandiose, but if it made her happy, I'm fine with it. Besides, it was considerably cheaper. When I introduced Kotori to Masatsuku's dad, he gave us such a massive discount that we almost ate for free.
豚骨ラーメンってあんなに濃厚なのね。私また食べたいかも。
We can come anytime. Mabo's dad will probably give us discounts again. Kotori's my girlfriend and really cute, so she received a warm welcome.
息子に似てお調子者だけどいいおっちゃんだったわ。
With full and satisfied stomachs, we wandered through Windy. There were a lot of different kinds of shops. Most were aimed at women since they sold clothing, bags, or accessories. There were also tableware and miscellaneous stores, a bookstore, and a stationery shop, and even a dentist. Usually I have no place or any reason to go to places like this, but today is different. As we passed by the woman's clothing shop, I saw clothes I thought would suit Kotori. Say, Kotori, those clothes... Kotori?
うん。
For some reason, Kotori frowned as she watched another couple passing by. What's with the gloomy face?
別になんでもない。
Was she irritated by their clinginess? No, we're on a date too.
ねえ、葵くん、ちょっとこっち来て。
Okay. I lined up next to her as she requested and she grabbed my hand. And then she started pushing the wheel of her wheelchair with her other hand. Hey!
ほら、早く行こ
So she just wanted to hold hands. Normal couples hold hands or link arms. Some even hold their hands around their waist and stick really close. It's not that I didn't feel a little jealous when I was looking at them, but
う。よいしょ、よいしょ。
while we were holding hands and walking like this, the people around us were staring with surprised expressions. I had a similar expression. Moving the wheelchair with one hand looked, how should I put it, rather tough on her. Stop! Stop!
何？
Are you out of breath? Don't push yourself.
無理じゃないもん。いつも学校まで往復してるんだから、このくらいなんでもないわ。
Sure, compared to the average girl, Kotori is certainly quite strong. Enough to go up the gently sloping the windmill hill by herself. that grammatically doesn't make sense. However, I think moving the wheelchair with one hand is too much. It looks exhausting, so stop it. I told her as I let go of her hand.
だって後ろにいたんじゃ葵くんの顔見れないんだもん。せっかくのデートなのに。
It hurt to see Kotori feeling so downhearted. Then we'll walk side by side. This should be fine, right? Kotori nodded, although she wasn't fully satisfied. I thought it must have been difficult for Kotori to push herself, but I might have been too considerate in the end. It's definitely better to see her face. If you'll get tired, you'll tell me right away, right? Don't overdo it.
わかってます。もううるさいな。
We continued to walk around Windy aimlessly side by side. It's not that there was somewhere we wanted to go, but we weren't in a hurry. We still had plenty of time. Ah, this dress is nice. There was a light blue one-piece dress displayed at the shop window. That color looked just like the sky, so I thought it would suit Kotsuri. I peeked at Kotsuri and she was also absent-mindedly looking at the same dress. Do you like it?
別にちょっと見てただけ。
I think it would suit you. I compared the dress to with Kotsuri's reflection in the shop window. Yeah, it would definitely suit her.
どうかな。似合うかな。
Even though she asked in a half-convinced way, she didn't exactly look doubtful. Maybe try it on?
いいよ。面倒だし、それにお店の人にも迷惑かかっちゃうもん。
I peeked inside the store. A female shop assistant met my gaze and smiled at me.
何かお探しでしょうか。
This one-piece dress. Could we try?
いえ、別に何でもないです。ほら、行こう。
Kotsuri called out to me and quickly moved away. Hey, wait! With painful reluctance, I left the dress and chased after Kotsuri. The shop assistant who greeted me bowed with a smile as she saw me off.
ドキドキした。
Why'd you run away?
だって絶対迷惑だって思われるもん。
If that was the case, she would have said something, right?
もういいの。服なんてお姉ちゃんに買ってきてもらうから。
You didn't like that dress?
そんなことないけど。でも、もういいの。さあ、行こう行こう。
Crap. Kotsuri's lost all of her enthusiasm. We completed our initial objective, watching a movie. With this kind of mood, it wouldn't be surprising if Kotsuri suggested to go home already. What do you want to do now? It seems there's an arcade around here, but... We checked the floor guide looking for something interesting.
ちょっと疲れたかも。どこかで休みたい。
I was relieved that, despite her drop in enthusiasm, she didn't say that she wanted to go home. Well then, shall we check out that place?
あそこって？
Actually, there was one more place I wanted to check out today. The cafe that you wanted to visit before. Kotsuri tilted her head. You know, the place you said that has a delicious... mifue. I'm not even gonna try that. Taking the hint, Kotsuri gasped.
カフェフラックス。
Go to Cafe Flags. This was one entry on Kotsuri's to-do list from before. According to the Geha, they serve delicious sweets produced by a famous pastry shop. Back then, Kotsuri didn't know that it was targeted at couples in a popular date spot. In the end, she crossed out that entry, completely blacking it out. Cafe Flags happens to be at Windy.
でも、あそこって高いんじゃ。
Don't worry, I've got plenty of funds left. Lunch was very cheap after all. Let's go, Kotsuri.
お。
Outside Cafe Flags, a line is formed. As expected from a popular place. The people waiting were primarily young couples, though a few older ladies hunched over with shopping bags were mixed in too.
ふわ、すごい人。
That means the food must be really good.
並ぶの？
Of course. We waited about 30 minutes. Let in by the cafe staff, we finally stepped inside. When we entered, the waiter took one of the chairs at the table away and let Kotsuri there.
こんなお店なんだ。
Kotsuri muttered as she looked at the refined interior design. I also looked around with curiosity. We opened our menus. Whoa, so expensive. The cheapest cakes were around 800 yen. The tea was about the same, with more expensive ones exceeding 1,000 yen a cup. And their highly recommended milfui was 1,300 yen for a small slice. There's no doubt that the food is exceptionally good. No, it better be or I'll be pissed. With such unrest tightening my chest, I asked Kotori, "What do you want?"
じゃあミルフィーユとダージリンティーで。
I'll have a milfui, two, and an iced tea. We called a waiter and placed an order. We can finally try the famed milfui.
楽しみ。
Still in low spirits. Overthinking everything surely sent her thoughts down a negative spiral. Sorry about earlier.
なんで葵くんが謝るの？
I made you think about unpleasant things.
違うよ。葵くんは悪くないもん。ただ、
Kotori stopped talking mid-sentence. I didn't say anything and waited for her to start talking. Kotori timidly looked up at me.
私なんかとデートしてて楽しい？
Fun? What is she saying all of a sudden? Kotori gave me a fluttering glance from the opposite side of the table.
私のせいで目立っちゃってるでしょ？
She said and looked around, meeting the glances of other customers.
さっきここに入ってきた時もすごく見られてたし。
Does that sort of thing bother you?
だって私こんなだから一緒にいて葵くんこそ嫌な思いしてるんじゃないかなって。それに服もこんなだし手だって繋いで歩けないし。
Kotori gradually sank into herself. I told you your clothes are cute. It wasn't just flattery, you know.
そうかな。
You like them, right? Kotori nodded deeply.
お姉ちゃんが選んでくれた服だから。
As expected from Hibari-san, she knows what would suit Kotori. When I thought that, I felt a little jealous, though. I think those clothes from earlier would suit you too. It seems like they're on your mind.
私みたいな子がおしゃれするのって変だって思われないかな。
No, I wouldn't think so. Rather, it's weirder not to dress up.
そうかな。
You just said that we're standing out because of you, right? But I don't think it's because of the wheelchair, really. You're cute. That's why everyone's looking.
違うよ。そんなんじゃ。
You're always saying you're a beautiful girl yourself, though.
それはそうなんだけど。
So she can admit that. Kotori's cute. She's almost impossibly beautiful. That's why everyone's stealing glances at her. And if there are any inquisitive glances, it's because they're wondering how such a beautiful girl ended up in a wheelchair. Of course, it might be a bit uncomfortable for her, but I don't think it's something to get depressed about. You're cute, Kotori. So much that everyone turns to look at you. I'm delighted to be on a date with a girl like you, so stop making that face.
葵くん。
Kotori smiled a little. That's more like it. You're even cuter when you're smiling. After all, you're a self-proclaimed cool beauty.
あ、それ忘れろって言ったのにまだ覚えてた。
There's no way I could forget something that intense. When I recalled it, I couldn't help but laugh. She was sitting straight with an aloof, confident smile, brushed up her hair with a smooth gesture, and called herself Cool Beauty. When she fumbled while brimming with confidence, it was an indescribable experience.
もう意地悪なんだから。
Kotori grumbling like that made her even cuter. I felt like teasing her a bit more, but I restrained myself for now. Instead, I held my hand out across the table. Kotori realized my intentions and timidly put her hand in mine. We can always hold hands when we're not walking. But nobody besides us can have a date in a glider soaring in the sky, right? I'm sure other couples who were on a date at Windy today would be jealous. Kotori looked at me excitedly.
そうだね。
She nodded, slightly embarrassed. So smile for me. Your smiling face is the cutest sight ever.
ありがとう、葵くん。
Rah! When Kotori giggled shyly, the waiter brought us the tea and cakes. Flustered, Kotori drew her hand back. The waiter saw that and smiled gently. The waiter placed his plates with cakes on the table. The waiter placed the plates with cakes. That's almost a tongue twister. Kotori's eyes sparkled when she saw the milfui. I don't know. Kotori, watch out. You almost started drooling after you saw that cake. Kotori wiped her mouth hurriedly.
だってほら見てよこれこのミルビーユ
Of course I'm looking at it. I have the same thing in front of me.
神々しいオーラを感じない絶対美味しいよこれ見ればわかるもん
Kotori muttered that she was expecting nothing less from a world-famous pastry shop as she imagined the milfui from every angle. As she examined the milfui from every angle. Strawberries and deeply colored custard were sandwiches. Wait, what? Strawberries and deeply colored custard were sandwich. I'm dyslexic. Were sandwiched between countless layers of puff pastries. And on top of it, there was a fresh cream with a large strawberry. Over the strawberry was a transparent gelatinous sauce. Illuminated by the cafe's lights, it glittered like a jewel. It's only natural that Kotori declared it would be delicious before even trying it. I knew it. Oh, excuse me. When you're angry or depressed, nothing works better than sweets.
そんなことないこともないこともないもん
What do you mean? In any case, I'm glad you seem to have cheered up. Kotori nodded shyly. Well, this place can make you feel quite bashful, I guess. Come on, let's eat. Kotori nodded quickly in agreement.
こっくりでは
Kotori gripped her knife and fork with trembling hands and brought them to the milfui. Crunch. The knife cutting into the puff pastry made a delightful sound. Kotori took a slice of the pastry with strawberries and cream onto her fork and carefully brought it to her lips. Kotori brought her hand to her cheek and raised her voice without thinking. When the waiter saw this, he smiled and nodded, not surprised by that reaction.
甘すぎず酸っぱすぎず口の中に広がる濃厚で芳醇な深い味わいこれは幸せの味なのです
Looks like it's so delicious that Kotori even started talking in a weird way. Let's see. Chomp. Munch munch. Man, this really is good. At first, I felt the sourness and aromatic sweetness of the strawberries. However, those were wrapped up with the mild sweetness of the cream, and its texture was accented by the crispiness of the puff pastry. Different textures and different levels of sweetness were in perfect harmony, creating a luxurious, refined composition. Without exaggerating, I can say that this is the best cake I've ever eaten. This is the kind of cake you'd only eat on special occasions like birthdays or Christmas. The very concept of cake that I've had so far was smashed by this taste. No, by this experience.
幸せ
Kotori muttered while eating the cake, happy from the bottom of her heart. The fact that it was more effective than me cheering her up was slightly frustrating though. After all, my strategy of abating Kotori's anger with Haagen-Dazs was correct.
紅茶も美味しいもう昇天しちゃいそう
Kotori said her impressions ecstatically and reached under the wheelchair and rummaged about. What she pulled out was Isuka-san's navigation log. You're always carrying it around with you?
大事なものなんだもん
This wheelchair experienced much rougher handling than an average wheelchair, dashing through the rain at full speed, fighting the winds on the hills, falling over sometimes, moving through the beach covered in sand. Because of that, the frame was bent and needed repairs the other day. The log, which had been there the whole time, was pretty worn out too. Kotori opened it up like an old veteran. She went to the page with the to-do list. She marked the completely blacked out entry where Go to Cafe flags was once written as completed.
これでまた一つコンプリートできたわ
This entry was supposed to be erased, but she's quite persistent. Kotori gazed at the page with satisfaction, then turned her gaze up towards the cake. And then she looked at me, fixedly. Munch munch.
やっぱり 今が私の人生のピークなのかも。
Huh? What did you say?
こんな優しくてかっこいい彼氏ができて、頼りになる仲間たちもいて、空を飛びたいっていう夢ももうすぐ叶う。
This is one of those things where it feels like everything is going way too well. And it gets me nervous.
こういうのをリア充っていうのよね。
What do you mean?
リアルが充実している人のことよ。私はきっとリア充ね。
As she said that, Kotori impaled a giant strawberry on her fork.
このミルフィーユがこんなにも美味しいのは葵くんがいてくれるからだもん、きっと。
She muttered very seriously for some reason, and then stuffed her cheeks with a strawberry. As usual, her train of thought was a little strange. Maybe that's her way of expressing happiness. Whether feeling down or feeling great, my girlfriend is unique. Then only one thing remains. Kotori looked up at me questioningly. I pointed at the topmost entry on the list, across the passage of clouds. The entry left by Isaka-san. Kotori stared at that entry while restlessly eating her milfui.
この夢もきっともう叶うわ。
The morning glory is supposed to appear by the end of summer. That is, very soon.
葵くんがみんなの思いを乗せて連れてってくれるもん。
Not necessarily. I was only chosen as the pilot because there was no one else suitable. But that might change when tomorrow comes. With a small delay, Kotori realized what I wanted to say.
無理無理無理無理。だって私これから練習するのよ。
I was like that last year too, but I did fly. When I think about it now, it was absurd. It was actually pretty dangerous.
葵くんは飛んでみたくないの？モーニンググローリーを。
I want to fly. I really, really want to. It was within our reach, yet we didn't get there. I'll never forget that vexing feeling from last year.
じゃあパイロットは葵くんでいいじゃない。何にも問題ないわ。
Kotori said as calmly as she could and took another bite of the milfui.
もう変なこと言うからドキドキしちゃったじゃない。
As Kotori said this, her face turned red like the strawberry. Thanks for the food. You're really fine with this?
うん、いいの。私が出すの。
Kotori insisted.
私いつも葵くんにしてもらってばかりだもん。こんなんじゃ全然足りないけど、私も何かしてあげたいの。
Then I'll accept a treat without hesitation. Kotori took care of the cafe flag's check. Though there was only the pastries and tea between the two of us, the check was a pretty sizable amount. Even so, the milfui was delicious. As I said this, Kotori's mouth seemed to recall the taste of the milfui, and her eyes were shining brightly.
すっごく美味しかった。人気が出るのも当然ね。後でひばり姉にも教えてあげなくちゃ。
Kotori spoke with wild excitement. She regained all her vigor. Well then, what do you want to do now? Shall we get out of Wendy and go somewhere a little quieter? Kotori was looking at the floor guide, deep in thought. It seemed like she would need a while. The roof here is made out of glass, and the bright sunlight was pouring from the sky. While Kotori was concentrating, I peeked up at the blue sky. Looking at this beautiful weather makes me want to go flying. Near that cloud would be a good thermal. When I realized I was thinking about this, I suddenly realized Kotori was looking at me. What?
いや、なんでもないよ。ただちょっとかっこいいなって。葵くんはそうやって空を見上げてる時が一番かっこいいと思う。
I see. Thanks. I'm looking forward to tomorrow's test.
私頑張るね。せっかくみんなが私のためにいろいろしてくれたから。
Kotori was very enthusiastic about it. I patted her head gently. So have you decided where you want to go? Oh yeah, she said, and looked back at the floor guide.
ね、ここのゲームセンターに行ってみたいんだけど、その前に。
Kotori hesitated like she had something difficult to say.
やっぱりさっきの水色のワンピース試着してみようかな。
Embarrassed, she looked away the moment she said this. I quickly got behind her and started pushing her wheelchair. It'll certainly suit you.
いや、落ち着いて葵くん。急がなくても大丈夫だから。
Come on, let's go, Kotari. Before Kotari could change her mind, I rushed to the store.
おっかえりデートだったんだって？
Ageha was at Flying Fish Manor when we returned. What, you came here again? We don't have club activities today, so hang out somewhere else.
いいでしょ？ここが落ち着くんだもん。どうでしたか、小鳥先輩？
Asa-chan pressed Kotari impatiently.
すんごい楽しかったわ。映画が大当たりでさ、お昼の豚骨ラーメンがまた最高で。それ何？これはね。
Kotari placed a paper bag on the table. She's been holding it like it was precious. Ageha recognized the logo on the bag.
そのショップ知ってる。服買ってきたんだ。結構高かったでしょう。違う。
Ageha tilted her head in puzzlement.
買ってもらったの。
Kotari's face beamed with a smile.
うわ、うぜ。聞くんじゃなかったわ。見て見て、ほら。ワンピースだ。綺麗な色。小鳥先輩に似合いそう。葵くんもそう言ってね、買ってくれたの。
Ageha and Yori-chan looked at me fixedly for some reason. Well then, I guess I'll go and clean the bathroom.
お風呂なら、かなこさんが入ってるわよ。
Then I'll go clean the entranceway.
でね、映画の後、カフェフラックスでミルフィーユ食べて。
I left Kotari proudly talking about our date and slipped out of the dining hall. Oh, we're back with Kotari. It's morning. Finally, today's the day.
おはよう、ハット。まだ早いから寝てていいわよ。
I got out of bed and changed into my clothes. I moved my wheelchair and got to my desk. I took the notebook, Isaka-san's flight log, that I had placed on the desk last night. Ever since the day I found this notebook, I began gazing up at the sky. Even before then, I had a vague yearning to fly. My name means small bird after all. I didn't like it when I was a kid, but I was conscious of it. I joined a ballet club and practiced jumping higher and higher every day, but no matter how high I jumped, I still couldn't fly. It was very frustrating. After the accident, when I couldn't move my legs anymore, this irritation became even stronger. It felt like my wings had been pulled off and that I was tossed into a cage. Then I found this notebook. It was a record of how one girl found a way to fly and did it herself. In my heart, the vague desire to fly was tied to the silhouette with spread white wings. I want to try flying too. I put myself in Isaka's shoes and read this journal like I was reading a fairy tale. Many times over.
あの日思い描いた憧れに、今日手が届くんだ。
When I thought that,
緊張してよく眠れなかった。
because of that, my eyelids were so heavy.
小鳥先輩、起きてますか？そろそろ起きないと遅刻しちゃいますよ。起きてるわ。すぐ行く。はーい。ハット、行ってくるわね。お利口にしてるのよ。今日も暑くなりそうだな。
Senpai complained while looking at the sun reproachfully. The sky was clear. Small clouds were floating here and there, but there was a little bit of wind.
いい？こっちが操縦桿で、これがラダー操作よ。間違えないでね。こっちが操縦桿、こっちがラダー。
So, like, I'm wondering which of, like, obviously, it might not even be, like, scaled how they're mentioning it, but I do wonder, you know, which of these would be the... Oh, yeah, no, because these are literally the rudders straight up, so I guess they didn't really remodel it to, fit the little PNG they throw up. Whatever. Kotori, sitting in the cockpit, repeated the instructions with a meek expression. Don't touch them until I let you, especially during takeoff. This could be seriously dangerous.
分かってる
From the rear seat, I could only see the back of Kotori's head, but I could still feel her tension.
小鳥小鳥
Amani-senpai approached. Today she took the day off to come here. She wanted to see the cockpit she designed in action. On top of that, she still hasn't seen any test flights of the improved glider.
なーに山根ちゃん私今忙しいんだけど緊張しているな空は怖いぞ高いからな
She said in an extremely good mood.
そういう時は人という字を手にたくさん書いて飲むといいんだぞ
Kotori glared at her.
私今気が立ってるからかうなら後にしてちょうだい
It's more like getting even than making fun of her, though. Back when Senpai was scared before the original test flight, Kotori slapped her on the face, many times with a hand where she wrote the person kanji on it. Even Amane-senpai can be a little unexpectedly vengeful sometimes.
そんな君にこれを貸してやろう
Amane-senpai held up the charm to prevent traffic accidents Kotori gave her the other day.
ありがとうあまねちゃんこちら配置につきました
Asa-chan, who was in charge of operating the winch, said this over the radio.
よーしじゃ飛びますか小鳥大空のデート楽しんできてね
The canopy was closed. I felt the tension rising. We did the final checks and prepared for takeoff. From the rear seat, I gauged Kotori's mood. Though she was nervous, it seemed like she was itching to do this. Do you remember the takeoff procedure?
ちゃんとシミュレータで予習してきたわ
Amane-senpai's simulator also covered takeoff and landing. Even if the controls are different due to Kotori's disability, I'm sure she at least memorized all the procedures. Then let's go. I gave Ageha the sign that we were ready. Ageha then signaled to Asa-chan that takeoff preparations were complete. The winch started up. The glider that Kotori and I were riding in ran down the runway. In mere seconds, the white airframe with huge spread wings left the ground to soar high in the sky. When we released the towing rope, turn around and confirm the separation with your eyes. The winch was pulling the glider using a towing rope, a long rope connected by the hook at the bottom of the glider. When the winch release lever is pulled, the hook should disconnect. If it fails to disconnect, it could cause a major accident. If the glider passes over the winch, the hook is designed to automatically disconnect when it's pulled back, but this system isn't perfect.
抵抗策の離脱を確認
Kotori visually confirmed the following parachute. Alright, takeoff successful. So today we'll start with the basics of flying. I explained the glider's basic operations to Kotori. From normal turns to steep turns and other important points. If it's just a normal glider flight, there weren't that many operations to be remembered. The only complicated procedures are during takeoff and landing. Besides those, there was also practice on how to recover from unexpected situations like stalls or spins. And while those were vital to prevent accidents, it wasn't necessary to teach her those right now. Alright, give it a try.
左旋回行きます
Kotori grasped the levers which operate the control stick and rudder. I kept my hand on the control stick, but didn't put any strength in it. The glider banked to the left and started turning. We're slipping. Step on the rudder a bit more. In Kotori's case, she couldn't exactly step on it, but I said it like this out of habit. Slipping means that the nose is pointing in the opposite direction of the bank on the wings. Blech. Right now, the glider was banked left and was about to turn in that direction. If the nose is facing right during the turn, the airframe would fly somewhat sideways. In short, if the nose isn't facing the direction of travel and you leave it as it is, the lift will decrease and the airframe will drop more than necessary. Kotori leaned the lever which operated the rudder. The nose of the plane faced inward. When the glider regained balance, it smoothly turned left. Pay attention to the yaw string. The yaw string resembles an earthworm and it's attached to the front of the canopy where the air current hits. It's very simple. It's a very simple but useful gauge made from knitting wool. When you're turning left or right, the yaw string will indicate a slip or skid. This single piece of thread will lean outwards when the plane is slipping and inwards when it's skidding. If it's stretched straight during the turn, the airframe is balanced and you can perform a clean maneuver. If the yaw string is bent, you should apply more rudder in the opposite direction. Now, one more time. Try turning right. While checking the yaw string, Kotori operated the control stick and rudder. The glider banked right. This time it was turning smoothly and properly balanced.
皆さん、アイスを買ってきたのでどうぞ。ああ、ヨルちゃん気が利くね。やったー、アイスだ。どう、姉さん。まだ飛んでるよ、小鳥先輩。よくわからないけど、初めてじゃないみたいに上手。踊りはすごいな。もう私よりうまいぞ。あの子、もともと運動神経はいいみたいだし、それにシミュレーターをかなりやり込んでたものね。知ってたんだ。偶然見ちゃっただけです。秘密基地でコソコソしてるから何してるのかと思って。努力してる姿を人に見せない小鳥先輩、かっけえです。単に張り切ってるのバレるのが恥ずかしかっただけだと思うけど、でも小鳥が努力家なのは間違いないわね。
Kotori's flight training continued. We were gradually losing altitude, but we still had some margin. That's thanks to Kotori keeping the sink rate to a minimum. The airframe gliding through the empty air lightly shook upwards for a moment. Probably a thermal. If we get on it, we could fly higher. Kotori turned the glider around and searched for the spot we passed just now. There was a reaction. Thermals have cores. To find those, you should fly in circles around a small radius if possible. Kotori searched for the core while flying around slowly, drawing a figure 8. Suddenly, our rate of climb increased noticeably. As Kotori found the core, she turned the control stick and tried to make a sharp turn. Whoa! The glider turned while maintaining a steep bank angle. As we turned sideways, we were assaulted by a strong G-force. I felt as if all my blood went to one side. My consciousness got a bit hazy. When I'm not controlling the glider myself, I can't predict when the G-force will kick in. It's quite tough. While thinking that, I shouted, "Be more gentle when you're turning!" She's a natural-born flyer. Kotori loosened up on the control stick. The bank got shallower and the G-force weakened. Take a good look at the variometer. Even though the glider should have entered the thermal's core, it was actually sinking. When you bank deeply, the sink rate will also increase. You should find just the right amount of turning radius while judging the strength of the thermal. If the turning radius is small, the bank gets too steep and the glider loses altitude. Nevertheless, to be able to climb, you'd have to find a thermal strong enough to raise the airframe despite this issue. If the thermal's core is very strong, it's better to bank a little steeper to stay within it. Of course, there's a limit. But otherwise, it's necessary to keep the bank shallow to reduce the sinking rate. Yeah. So who's the idiot who made a steep turn to stay inside the core? No matter how strong the updraft in the core, it won't carry the glider upwards if it's banked too steeply. Furthermore, the constant G-force will really make you lose consciousness before too long. Kotori said this impatiently. Damn, what a daredevil. However, the turn itself was very neat. I watched the yaw string and there was almost no slip. At first glance it seemed unreasonable, but in reality it was a beautiful, perfectly balanced turn. Sink rate was also kept at a minimum. There's no need to rush. It's better to climb slowly. Kotiri replied cheerfully, then maintained an appropriate bank to make the glider climb.
くるくる回ってる。サーマルを捕まえたのね。おお、あんなに高く。見ているだけで怖いぞ。初フライトで張り切りすぎじゃないかしら。ちょっと葵、聞こえる？
What is it, Ageha?
上がりすぎじゃないの？
We caught a thermal. It's fine, I'm backing her up.
ならいいけど、小鳥、あんまり無茶するんじゃないわよ。
You heard her? Don't overdo it.
わかった。
Kotiri responded, concentrating on flying. She was completely focused on riding the thermal. I was honestly surprised when I gazed at the ground getting distant. There's almost nothing left to teach her. Excuse me. When it comes to basic operations, she almost perfected everything. She's beyond a fast learner. No matter how many times he used a simulator, it's not the same as actually flying. But Kotiri got the hang of it right away and was able to catch an invisible thermal and take the glider higher. Her piloting skills... no, her senses might be far above the rest of us.
空が近づいてきた。
Kotiri murmured while looking out the window, while gazing out of the canopy, my bad. Meanwhile, the glider continued climbing steadily. This is a good thermal. It's quite strong. There's quite a bit of crosswind right now, so be careful. When I said this, Kotiri looked down.
こんなに高い。地上の景色が霞んで、なんだか現実の景色じゃないみたい。
That's because we're twice as high up from the Tokyo Tower right now. Right now, our altitude is approximately 700 meters. We caught a good thermal and Kotiri ended up climbing this high on her first flight.
風車の丘ってあんな形してたのね。まるで三日月みたい。
From this height, being directly above the windmill hill, we can see all of it with one sweep of the eye. The hill ran alongside the lake in a semicircular shape. That shape catches the breeze blowing from above the lake. The wind gets stronger as it travels up the hill and rotates the windmills. The wind that blows from above the lake gets caught by the half-moon-shaped hill. It gathers there and gets stronger, and then runs up the hill. The windmills were built there because of this phenomenon.
気持ちいいね。飛ぶのって。
Kotiri sighed softly, her voice carrying a hint of pain.
すごく自由な感じ。足のことなんて忘れちゃいそう。
When she's flying, she doesn't need her legs. Only in times like these does she really seem free. I knew it. It suits you better to fly on your own instead of having someone else fly for you. Kotiri thought about it a little before answering.
そうかも。私、小鳥って名前でしょ。小さい頃からなんとなくいつも空を見上げてたの。飛んでみたいなって思いながら、まさか叶うなんて思ってなかったけど。
My name. My father picked it. His hobby was photography. He would often take pictures of the sky. He told me that on the day I was born, the sky was deep blue, and that's why he named me Aoi.
へえ。じゃあ、ここは葵くんの故郷みたいなもんだね。
Yeah, we're kind of the same. I replied while smiling at our embarrassing exchange. Now that you mention it, there was a clear blue sky on the day I heard how I got my name too. It feels special to me. Well, after that, I learned that the kanji for my name actually refers to a greenish blue color. It was a little disappointing.
空の上って気持ちいい。ずっと飛んでいられたらいいのに。
Rising to the sky in a glider felt marvelous. It was as if we were released from the bounds of gravity. I saw Kotiri's profile as she gazed outside the canopy. She looked like she was thinking about a faraway birthplace. Don't be careless. Remember, always pay attention to the airflow. Otherwise, we'll lose altitude.
Hi!
Kotiri answered vigorously and gripped the control stick more firmly.
こっち片付け完了しました。お疲れさー。今日はこれでおしまいね。
I was getting a little nervous there, honestly, because it's one of those things where it feels like everything's going so well that there's bound to be some major setback about to come up. We flew until sunset and then left the field. Between maintenance and rest time, we got in 5 flights.
今日は1回のフライトが長かったよね。
That's because there were some great thermals. The flight had the ideal soaring conditions. The best way to learn is to fly as much as possible. Because the number of times we can fly is limited, it's best to be in the sky as long as possible. Kotori made a lot of progress today, to the point where she can even take off and land.
小鳥は本当にすごいな。同じ人間とは思えないぞ。
Senpai had been impressed the whole time today. It's all thanks to the cockpit that you designed.
うん、役に立ってよかった。
By the way, where'd she go?
あの人なら外にいたわよ。片付けサボってぼーっとしてた。
Yoda-chan, who just returned inside, told us.
今日はもう終わりだって言ってきて。
Okay. Outside of the secret base, Kotori was gazing up at the sky absent-mindedly. What are you doing?
体が揺れてるように感じるの。まだ空の上にいるみたい。
This is the top of the hill. If you raise your gaze a little, the ground disappears from your field of vision, and it looks as if you're floating in the sky. Even though this was your first flight, you're flying for quite a long time. Kotori looked up into the sky with a hint of pain in her eyes, as if she was yearning for it.
どうしよう。私、明日からもう普通じゃいられないかも。だってこんなに楽しいことをしちゃって。頭の中が空っぽになっちゃったみたい。
I also felt like that on the day of my first flight, to the point I thought living with your feet on the ground was annoying. We'll fly again, as much as we want. We spent a whole year preparing for that. The sky, that was so clear and blue during the daytime, was now filled with countless twinkling stars. Kotori's eyes, that gazed at the sky so yearningly, were sparkling just like the stars. Well, like that, just the sweetest. Alright, a nice little flight, eh? Now for tragedy to strike. Now for sudden, unexpected tragedy to strike us. A few days before the end of August. At the start of summer vacation, nearly half of Flying Fish Manor's residents left to visit their homes. It's been a while since the building was this crowded.
野菜切り終わりました。こっちもできたわ。鍋煮えてるわよ。次どうするの？これオーブンに入れて焼くのよね。何分くらい？
Everyone was asking for my instructions all at once. I felt like a master chef. Put the cut vegetables into the boiling water. Cover the pot and let it boil for around 10 minutes. Don't put those into the oven yet. Bake it together with these. While I was quickly rattling off instructions, I was also doing my own work. It had been a while since I'd prepared dinner for such a large number of people.
私は何をすればいいかな。
Amane-senpai, please sit over there and watch TV.
危ないから包丁持っちゃダメよ。かな、あまねちゃんのお守りよろしく。はいよ。望月先輩、こっちで一緒にテレビ見ましょう。
I'm not gonna lie, I think my voice for Kaneko is a lot better.
私も何かしたいのに。
Kaneko dragged the eager to help Amane-senpai in front of the TV. The people and food, the heat from the oven and fire from the stove, all that mixed together seemed like a battlefield. How did it suddenly come to this?
ついに合宿だよ、ヨルちゃん。ワクワクだね。別にいつもと変わらないと思うんだけど。自分の部屋で寝るんでしょ？
That's right. It begins today, the Soaring Club's training camp. Though, to be honest, nothing's really changed. Ageha still returns home and Amane-senpai still only comes here for free food. So if I were to say what this training camp was all about, it was the early morning watch duty that we held just like last year. The morning glory should appear by the end of summer. It wouldn't be strange for it to appear any time now. Being on watch duty meant staying overnight at the secret base and watching for any changes in the sky. We're starting immediately from tonight onwards. I prepared dinner earlier than usual to take the opportunity and organize a meeting afterwards. Alright, it's done!
美味しそうな料
help me bring it to the table. The food that everyone prepared was lined up on the table. The sight of so much food served in large plates kind of felt like a training camp indeed.
久しぶりの葵くんのご飯だ。お腹すいたよ。もう食べていい？
Before we start, President Kotori has a few things she'd like to say. When I announced this, Kotori cleared her throat with authority.
皆さん、この1年本当にご苦労様でした。いよいよ私たちの目標であり夢でもあるモーニンググローリーを飛ぶ日が近づいてきています。本番は一度きり、失敗は許されません。夏が終わるまでの間、気合を入れて絶対に失敗しないよ。長いぞ小鳥。もうお腹ペコペコだよ。ねえ、私ソアリング部じゃないし。
Even Kanako's chiming in.
こいつら。
Come on, the food's getting cold.
わーったわよ。美味しいものお腹いっぱい食べて気合い入れていくわよ。いただきまーす。
Everyone scrambled for the food at once.
たくも気分台無しだわ。
If you all go out like this, you won't last very long.
そんなことないもん。私は最後の一辺になっても戦うわ。
I'm not sure that's what she wants to fight for, but her fighting spirit is admirable. Ever since she flew the glider for the first time the other day, she's had excessive motivation. Over the past few days, she's been practicing flying from dawn till dusk, and she didn't show a tired face even once. Her piloting skills have really improved. Jesus, Asa, you glutton!
そういや、アサちゃんは去年の雲を風車の丘から見てたんだっけ？はい、すごく綺麗でした。あの雲も空を飛ぶグライダーも。でもあれよりもすごいんですよね。
あれは厳密にはモーニンググローリーとは呼べないものだったからな。
Amane Senpai said while eating in her usual messy way.
あまねちゃん、食べるか喋るかどっちかにして。
あれこそが今年の夏に本物のモーニンググローリーが来る予兆だったんだ。
Today we learned that the cloud we saw last year was a big sign that a real morning glory was very likely to appear this year. It happened a few hours ago. Flashback.
以上のデータが私の推論の根拠だ。
Senpai said as she showed a variety of data displayed on the computer screen.
つまり
この夏の終わりにモーニンググローリーが発生する可能性は非常に高い。
Senpai's words filled the place with tension and excitement. We heard Senpai's presentation and felt that her reasoning was believable.
質問いいでしょうか？
なんだい？
可能性が高いというのはどのくらいなんでしょうか？
そうだな。詳細な数字までは言えないが、大雑把に計算しておよそ 30% ってところじゃないかな。
低っ！ちょっとそれのどこが高いのよ。全く起こらないのが普通だとしたら随分と高い方なんじゃないかしら。
It was just as Yoru-chan said. The phenomenon known as morning glory occurs in Kazenagara. Oh, that's new. Kazenagara. Oh no, that's Kazenagura. That's not how it was spelled earlier. Maybe this is somewhere else? Whatever. Kazenagura only a decade or so. Only once a decade or so.
でもそれだとむしろ大安売りってことじゃない？
私と葵くんがフライトした1年前のあの雲は厳密にはモーニンググローリーとは呼べない。
じゃあ何なの？
ただの出来損ないだ。だがそれも推論の根拠となっている。これを見てほしい。
Amane-senpai moved the mouse and showed us some more data on the screen. Senpai got that data from her new windmill model construction project. It's detailed weather data from around Kazinagura. She analyzed it and reached the conclusion that she told us about just now. Oh yeah, okay, so no, yeah, earlier it was Kazegaura. It was Kaze and then Gaeura or something along those lines. Now it's Kazinagura. Make up your mind! Currently, 2 sets of data were displayed.
これが去年のあの雲が現れた日のデータで、こっちが28年前の8月26日のデータだ。
August 26th, 28 years ago? This date didn't ring a bell at all, but the data taken from 2 completely different years truly resembled each other.
似てるわね。どういうこと？
はっきりとした記録はないが、この日モーニンググローリーの出来損ないが風ヶ浦で発生していたらしいんだ。
どういうことですか？つまり出来損ないの雲が現れた翌年に本物のモーニンググローリーが現れる可能性が高いと言いたいんでしょ？
Senpai nodded. We stared at the monitor intently. At first, no matter how long we stared, they were just lists of meaningless numbers to us. But if Mochizuki Amani says so, that alone was good enough for us. This data made our 1-year-long wait appear meaningful in the end.
それって夏の終わりじゃなきゃ発生しないものなんですか？
それはほぼ間違いない。発生のメカニズムは先ほど説明した通り、湖上空の水蒸気に筑波山に遮られていた湿った空気が流れ込み、
それはもう分かったから。
Kozuri quickly stopped Amani senpai, who started explaining everything from the beginning again. We couldn't bear to listen to such a complicated explanation again. We got the gist of it and that was good enough.
いよいよってわけね。
Yeah, we'll have another chance after we failed last year. I couldn't stop my lips from forming a daring smile. And thus, we got all fired up after listening to Amani senpai's explanation. That's why we gathered like this to have a feast. The problem lies with the flight plan. We must revise senpai's data. While I was eating the food, I discussed with everyone my thoughts after hearing senpai's explanation.
去年私と葵くんが飛んだあの雲はだいたい上空 1km あたりに現れていた。けど OB の高校日誌によると27年前のモーニンググローリーは上空 2km。
さらに1キロ高く飛ばないといけないのか。
Ageha placed her hands on her chin and thought about it. 2-kilometer height isn't really high for a cloud, but since we're using the winch launch, we have yet to experience flying at such an altitude.
せめて飛行機があったらな。そんな高さまで上がれるサーマルなんてあるの？
There could be, but I thought about everything. The problem is that the morning glory appears around dawn.
どういうこと？
サーマルがほとんどないんだ。夜の間に地表は冷やされて温まるまでに時間がかかる。けれど日の出を待ってそれからのんびり上がったんじゃ間に合わない。
It's the sunlight that warms the ground up, and until the ground surface heats up, thermals won't appear. I nodded at Senpai's explanation and added one more thing. If possible, it's the best to take off before sunrise when it's still dim.
でもそれじゃあサーマルを見つけるのは難しいと。逆に湖の上にならサーマルがあるんじゃないかな。
The way heat is transferred is different between land and water. Land easily heats and cools, but with water it's slower. That's why the temperature over lakes or seas is lower than above the ground during day, creating a gentle downward draft. But at night it's the opposite. The ground cools first, but above lakes that haven't cooled down just yet, updrafts are forming. No, it's not that easy. It's like that at midnight, but at dawn even the lake's already cooled down.
だよね。
After all, if we don't find other ways to ascend, we learned from our failure the last year, and that's why we're talking about this together, and that's why we're talking about the flight plan. We've already talked about it countless times, but with the new data, we have something more solid to discuss. Yoda-chan gave us a sidelong glance and said with a sigh,
けど発生しない確率の方が高いわけよね。それなのにそんなに張り切っちゃって、肩透かしだった時大丈夫なの？
Damn.
その時はその時よ。来年かまた再来年にでもチャレンジすればいいわ。
But if it comes this year, we absolutely cannot miss the chance. Kozani and Geiha nodded in agreement with my words that were filled with a strong will. These two didn't forget last year's frustration.
そうしてまた超留年生が生まれるのね。スワリング部の伝統として受け継がれていくのかも。
Damn, bro, why you so fucking negative?
そんなのあまねちゃんだけで十分。私らもさすがにそこまではね。
いいじゃないか。人よりたくさん学生生活ができてお得だぞ。
Kotori firmly clenched her fist.
あまねちゃんのようにならないためにも一発で決めるわよ。
Geiha and I nodded in agreement with serious expressions.
ところで誰が乗るんですか？だってあのグライダー2人乗りですよね。
Asa-chan asked an innocent question, a point that didn't cross anyone's mind so far. We all looked at each other, then almost simultaneously, we all turned our eyes at Amani-senpai.
私は乗らないぞ。上空 2km なんて想像しただけで怖いからな。
Wasn't the whole reason you fucking repeated school for like all that time is to see this thing?
あまねちゃんは本当にそれでいいの？あの人どかなかった場所に今度こそ行けるかもしれないのよ。
Senpai quickly shook her head.
言っただろ。私がここでこうしているのは君たちを手伝うためだって。
After she clearly declared this, she got a little sad. For Senpai, the glider's already a thing of the past.
まあそれはおいおい考えればいいんじゃない？それより今はどうやって上がるかよ。
I'll probably be asking Kotori, right, I imagine? That's right. It's not that we don't have a plan for the time being. During our meal, everyone exchanged ideas. The arguments became increasingly heated. The bath is free. I walked into the dining hall while I was drying my hair with the bath towel. Usually I take a bath after everyone, but today I went in first. In the dining hall, everyone was playing cards.
姉さん、ババを引いたわね。そんなことないよ。全然そんなことないよ。朝ちゃんは素直でわかりやすいの。
Did Amani-senpai head home already?
お腹いっぱいになったからって葵にごちそうさま言っといてってさ。あまね先輩が食いしん坊でよかったよね。おかげでこうして遊びに来てくれるもん。
If that wasn't the case, she would have been secluding herself in her workshop all the time. She could have even stopped exchanging poorly written messages with us. Hooray for gluttony. And Kotori?
部屋でこそ練してんじゃないかな。
On the simulator? The other day, Kotori borrowed Hibari-san's laptop. She's been using it to practice on the simulator in her room. However, it appears that Kotori doesn't think showing her hard work inside to anyone would be a virtue, so she persistently denies that she's like that. That's why everyone's calling it sneaky practice.
私呼んできましょうか？
No, it's fine. I don't want to bother her.
でも葵先輩もう行っちゃうんですよね。
It's not that I won't be able to see her for a long time. I just wanted to see her face, nothing else. Well then, I'll prepare to leave. I guess we're taking first watch.
喉乾いた。お、やっと出てきた。あんたまだいたんだ。あまねちゃんはもう帰ったの？うん、帰ったよ。でもって私もそろそろ帰るところ。さ、気をつけてね。葵ならもう出てったわよ。え？嘘！もうこんな時間？彼氏ほっぽり出してシミュレーターに夢中とは。さすが空に片思いしてる女ね。いってらっしゃい言いたかったのに。
Man, you really have a great view of the stars here. While walking up the slope of the Windmill Hill, I gazed at the starry sky that spread over it. It was clear today, so you could see the stars really well. On top of that, from the windmill hill there were fewer obstructions to block the view. Just like last year, the glider was assembled and stood at the runway, covered with a sheet. However, we're doing watch duty from the secret base. The view from there is definitely better than from the garden to Flying Fish Manor. I don't know when the changes in the sky will occur. It wouldn't be an exaggeration if I said you have to spot them the second they appear, or you can miss them. However, we can't leave a lone girl for the whole night in such a remote place. Besides me, everyone will do watch duty in pairs. I'll be dropping them off and picking them up too. Even with two people, I'd be worried to let them walk all the way here during nighttime. In the wide area around here, there's nothing but solar panels and windmills. This sight gave me the impression that mankind had perished and only machines remained on the world. Inside my pocket, my cell phone chimed. A message. It was from Kotari. I'm sorry, I was in my room and didn't notice the time. I wanted to see you off and say goodbye. That message made my heart feel warm and fluffy. I didn't realize it, but it seems like I miss her. Tomorrow morning I'll get up early and wait for you. Good night. I smiled unconsciously. Man, that was nice. Those are just some trifling words, but they made my heart feel strangely at ease. Thanks for your message. You're practicing hard, right?
なんで練習してたってバレてるんだろう。
There'll be flight practice tomorrow too, so don't overdo it and go to sleep early. When I get back, could you help me get breakfast ready? I love you. Good night.
好きだよ。だって。キュンとしちゃった。おやすみ、葵くん。よーし、明日に備えて寝るぞー。その前に私も好きだよってメールしよっ
お、いたいた。おーい、あげはー。
And Masatsuki sounds exactly like I imagined to.
と。おお、麻婆じゃん。それにあかりさんも。こんにちは、姫木さん。約束通り見学させてもらいに来たわ。どうもこんにちは。お待ちしてました。どうぞ存分に見てってください。
で、そのグライダーはどこにあるんだ？
今訓練飛行中。だいぶ高く上がってるからあ、いたいた。
どこだ？
この双眼鏡を使ってください。ありがとう。どのあたりかしら。ほら、長細い雲がある下あたりに翼が太陽の光を反射してるの見えません？ああ、今光った。あれがそうなの？グライダーが飛んでいるところは初めて見たけど、すごいのね。あんなに高く。日によりますけど、理論上ならそれこそ雲の上にだって行けますから。ほれ、麻婆も見てみ。
おお、ほんとだ。すげえ飛んでる。エンジンついてないんだろ？よく飛べるな。
誰が操縦を？小鳥です。ハバネさんが？空を飛ぶのに足を使う必要はありませんから。なるほど。
おいおい、やべえぞ。なんか回転しながら落ちてる。
I'm guessing we were practicing in the stalls. The glider was falling towards the ground, spinning in a corkscrew. The field of vision was spinning and we lost a sense of balance. G-forces assaulted our bodies while facing the outside of the turn. Deal with it calmly. You can do it just like I taught you. First, set the ailerons in neutral. Koti returned the control stick to the neutral position. Next, apply full rudder in the opposite direction to the spin. Even before I gave the instruction, Koti was already steering the rudder in the opposite direction of the rotation, and then she immediately leaned the control stick forward. Try raising the nose. That's enough for the main wings to regain lift. Finally, when the nose rose to the point where the airflow could run along the surface of the wings, the lifting power came back. When the rudder was returned to neutral, the glider returned to a normal flight as if nothing happened. Alright, recovery successful. When we stabilized and looked at the scenery outside, Kotari was sighing deeply in relief. It's not like we avoided an accident just now. I made the glider spin on purpose. That's because we're in the middle of spin recovery practice at the moment. We barely lost any altitude. Good job, Kotari.
さすがに普通のストーリーより焦るわね。
Stall happens when the airflow peels off the main wing and they lose lift. Without lift, the glider will fall. However, if you know how to deal with it, recovery is possible. To learn this, you have to cause stall on purpose and practice the recovery. This is one of the most important training exercises for a glider pilot. The exercise we're doing right now involves recovering from a spin, a very dangerous situation among various stalls. A spin is when the fuselage rotates like a screw while falling. In the worst case scenario, you can completely lose control of the plane and have no choice but to escape using a parachute. Even though you were a little flustered, you still dealt with it quite precisely. Were you scared?
あんまりリカバリーできるイメージが頭の中にあったからかな。
I see. The stall can be very scary and can throw the pilot into disorder. It's terrifying with the airframes rotating and falling, so it's only natural that you want to recover as quickly as possible. However, if you make a mistake in confusion, you can worsen the situation instead. It could even lead to the worst case scenario. Kotari could recover so quickly because she calmly assessed the situation and steered only as much as needed. To think she was so composed during her first spin recovery. I remember I was pretty scared and flustered the first time I practiced this maneuver.
なんとなく感覚はつかめてきたわ。
Don't get cocky. If you forget how dreadful stalls and spins are, your reaction might get delayed. Stall recovery practice has two meanings. The first is learning recovery techniques, and another is familiarizing yourself with the indications that a stall or spin is about to occur. There are several signs. You can tell that from the meters, but it's also important to get the feel of steering and sense the G-force that is transmitted to your body. When you understand those and your body remembers the feeling, you can prevent stalls. Learning the recovery is very important, but it's always the best to avoid a stall. It's thanks to practice like these that we saved Amani-senpai and me last year.
あの時は見ていてヒヤヒヤしたわ。下降気流にはまったんだっけ。
A year ago, we encountered a strong downdraft, suddenly lost lift, and started falling. Even though we were taken by surprise, we still managed to level the aircraft. I think it's thanks to mastering all the skills during practice. Alright, let's find a thermal and head back up one more time.
Hi.
To continue this practice, we'll rise to a high enough altitude to where it'll be possible to recover safely.
なるほど。意図的にそういった状態にして、そこから回復する訓練を行っていたのですか。
危ねえことするんだな。
大丈夫よ。いざとなったら葵がフォローするから。やはり空を飛ぶというのはそれだけ危険なことなのね。
あいつら降りてこないぞ。
また上がってもう一回やるんでしょ。私らにはあんまり時間が残されてないからね。どういう意味かしら。天音先輩の予言によると、あと10日以内にモーニンググローリーが現れる可能性が高いんです。モーニンググローリー？湖の上に大きな雲の回廊がかかるんです。望月先輩が写真立てに飾っていたあの不思議な雲のことね。小鳥にその気があるなら、あの子をメインパイロットにして飛ばせてやってもいいんじゃないかって葵たちとも話してるんです。本人にはまだ内緒なんですけど、まずはみっちりしごいて本当に小鳥でいけるのか見極めないと。そう。それにしても変わったわね、幅根さん。慶風学園に入学してきた頃から随分と。そんな頃から知ってるんですか？ええ、もちろんよ。足の不自由な生徒が入学してくると聞いて気にかけていたのよ。さすが生徒会長になるために生まれてきたお人だわ。
まあ同じ学年で知らないやつはいなかったけどな。態度超悪いって有名だったもんな。
だよね。2年で同じクラスになった時はどうしてやろうかと。
どうした？誰だあれ？
あれって。
Uh, What's that? Who is it? Kotori, while turning inside the thermal, was gradually increasing altitude. I think it'll be enough soon.
もう少し上がれそう。もっと高く飛んでもいい？
The purpose of today's training was to cover stall recovery, and there was no reason to fly higher than this. But when Kotori asked it like this, I couldn't say no. Sure, let's try flying as high as we can. Catching thermals to fly higher is also an important practice after all.
ありがとう。
Kotori flew the glider inside the updraft, climbing higher and higher into the sky, as if this was a place she's always intended to go.
入道雲って成層圏まで突き抜けてるんでしょ？
If they're really big.
その中へ入れば私たちも成層圏まで飛べるのかしら？
We might be able to fly up there, but it's better not to try. And cumulonimbus clouds seems like turbulence, downbursts, lightning, and such can occur. That's too dangerous. Even jumbo jets will avoid cumulonimbus clouds if they can. Besides, the sky at these heights is like an unknown world for us. Even if we were to reach there safely, there's no guarantee we would have returned safely. There's no guarantee we would return safely, whatever.
空って高いのね。
And beyond it, there's space. Kotori muttered, "Space, huh?" absent-mindedly as she gazed outside the canopy. Her profile looked like that of a child staring at something mysterious. Amane-senpai's eyes had a hidden curiosity of a young kid, but Kotori's had an even more childish impression. She just wanted it. Such a pure emotion is what came to my mind. He said that about me before. That I look the best when I'm gazing at the sky.
そうよ。ため息が出るくらいかっこいいわ。
Well, as for you, I think flying in the sky like this suits you best.
そうかな。
It makes me think this is the true Kotori. Kotori gave me a fleeting glance and asked,
本当の私？
"Yeah, I don't know how you were in the past, but that's just how I feel. Sitting behind you and flying like this makes me really excited. It's strange, but since I started flying, I've had a feeling that I got to know her much better. An expression that an expression she only has when she's flying, a face only I've seen. By excited, I mean I want to get to know her even better and see more of her."
本当の私？
Kotori muttered while thinking. Sorry I said something weird during this flight. You forget it.
一時的に忘れる。
Alright, we're high enough. This time cause to spin yourself and then recover. Then go ahead. As I instructed, Kotori steered the glider into a spin. After practicing so much, Kotori got tired, so we decided to land for a while. This practice put some strain on the fuselage too, so it needed to be checked up. Above the runway, the glider entered the final approach. The crosswinds are strong today. Approach the runway with the nose turned more into the wind.
了解。
With Kotori's precise steering, the glider swooped down onto the runway safely.
おかえりなさい、小鳥先輩、葵先輩。ただいまー。疲れた。
Kotori, who disembarked the cockpit and moved to her wheelchair, looked completely exhausted. Well, he flew quite a bit. I was also tired. We took more than enough safety measures, but that practice was still quite stressful.
おかえりなさい、ハバネさん。生徒会長、来てたんだ。下から見させてもらったわ。あなたたちが夢中になるのもわかる気がする。でしょ？
On the ground, Akiri-san and Masatsugu, who came at some point, were waiting for us.
さっきね、800メートルくらいまで上がったのよ。なんなら生徒会長も後で乗ってみる？ええ。だけどその前に。
Akiri-san had an awkward expression for some reason. A geisha showed up from behind her.
小鳥、ちょっといい？
Uh-oh. Like I fucking said! Tragedy!
何？あげ。
Kotori turned towards a geisha and got dumbfounded when she saw who was standing behind her. However, that person might have been even more dumbfounded.
どうしてひばり姉が。
Uh-oh. Hibari-san was staring at Kotori in disbelief. Her face was pale and her knees were shaking a little. At first I thought she was angry, but I quickly realized it was something else. Hibari-san was shaking with fear.
小鳥ちゃん。
She calls Kotori's name with a quivering voice as she approached her unsteadily.
どうしてこんな。違うの。 ちゃん、これは
Is she angry that she was flying?
これは
Kotiri wanted to make an excuse right away, but she was at a loss for words.
あなたが乗っていたなんて。お願い、落ち着いてひばりね。私の話を聞いて。
Oh! Yo! A sharp sound echoed. Everyone nearby instinctively ducked their heads. It was the sound of Hibari-san's hand hitting Kotori's cheek.
ちゃん、あなたは自分がどうしてそんな体になってしまったのか忘れちゃったの？
Tears were mixed with Hibari-san's shout. Her knees trembled so much that it looked like she could collapse at any moment. It wasn't anger. It was fear.
忘れてないよ。でもこれは気球じゃない。私たちが作ったグライダー。同じよ。このことをお
Oh,
父さん
okay,
や
so
お母
that's
さん
how
にしたら
her legs got
どうなる
injured.
か。
Probably in a hot air balloon accident, I imagine, right?
待って、それだけはやめて。そんなことしたらお父さんたちがどうなるか分かってて隠してたのね。ごめんなさい。でもこのことはお父さんたちに言うから。
Hibari-san in the coldest voice I've ever heard from her and turned her back on Kotori.
待って、お姉ちゃん。
Kotori tried to chase after her, but Hibari-san quickly walked away.
お姉ちゃん。
Kotori-san couldn't do anything but see Hibari-san's back and her vision blurred with tears. Damn! When we finished tidying up, we gathered at the office.
小鳥は？
She went home earlier. We should leave her alone for a while.
そうね。で、結局何だったの？あれは。
After that, the mood wasn't right to ask about her circumstances, so we just tidied everything up in silence. While everyone was getting here, I escorted Kotori to the dorm. I only know that Kotori's legs got like that because of an accident. It seems that when she was on a trip, a hot air balloon she was riding had crashed. Apparently, it was a trip to a popular tourist destination that offered these kinds of services. Kotori wanted to ride it, so she got on it with her mom, and it crashed. Everyone only had minor injuries except for Kotori.
だからってあの取り乱しようは普通じゃなかったわ。ひばりさん、まるで目の前で事故が起こったみたいに震えてたよね。
At the time of the air balloon accident, Hibari-san and her father saw it from up close. When she saw Kotori getting out of the glider, it surely brought back the memories from back then. I knew that Kotori was hiding the fact that she was flying from Hibari-san. I thought that she just didn't want to worry anyone, but
そんな事情があったなんてね。
I'm sure Kotori convinced the Geha to keep it a secret too. Hibari-san knew about the soaring club, but she probably thought Kotori was only helping with maintenance and such.
あの人の家庭の事情はよく知らないけれど、娘がグライダーに乗ってるなんて知ったら。小鳥先輩がコックピットから降りてくるのを見たとき、ひばりさん、真っ青でした。どうしようかね、これから。
I don't know. First of all, let's try talking with Kotori later. And then we can try contacting Hibari-san. I still couldn't believe that Hibari-san slapped Kotori. That she was that frightened. I mean, I can't blame her for doing that. Well, I can't blame her for being scared, right? You know, I get it. It's like, hey, I had to watch your life basically be torn. I had to watch you basically not only your life be torn apart, but our family be torn apart in this accident. I don't want to have to watch that again, and this time potentially even have you lose your life for this stuff, you know? But at the same time, I feel like that is kind of really disrespectful of Kotori's wishes, because it's her life after all. I mean, it feels a little bit like, I guess derogatory would be the term, almost, to look at you and be like, hey, you got crippled because of a flying accident, so therefore we're not going to let you fly, right? It feels a little bit selfish and controlling. And honestly, it's almost as if she's trying to guilt trip Kotari, you know? So, I get that there's trauma that they have, but if anything, I would be looking at it like, hey, look, Kotari, this girl who got her life taken from her, basically, in an air balloon accident, is now fucking soaring through the sky like this with amazing skill and capability. But hey, that's just me, you know?
お姉ちゃんのこと
And then to slap her because of it? That's too far. That's way too far.
いつも私のこと一番に考えて優しくしてくれてたお姉ちゃんなのに。でも私飛びたいんだもん。お姉ちゃんやお父さんやお母さんに心配かけたくないけど、どうしても飛びたいの。どうすればいい？ねえ、ハット。どうして私は飛びたいんだろう。今日はすみませんでした。お見苦しいところをお見せしてしまって。
No, me too. I'm sorry for keeping it all from you, even though I knew you were worried about Kotari. On my way home, I called Hibari-san to explain the situation. Why Kotari joined the soaring club. What kind of club activity she's involved in, without hiding anything.
クラブ活動のおかげなんですよね。小鳥ちゃんが元気になっていったのは。
Yes, I think so too.
でも
I heard about the situation from Kotari. She's really worried about you. She blames herself and is really sad. She said she'd try to call you when she's calmed down.
ありがとうございます、水瀬さん。私からもメールをしてみます。今は感情的になってしまって、ちゃんと話せそうにないので。
Yes, please send her a message then. I hung up the phone and sighed a little. I could see Kotari's bedroom window from here, but the light was off. Did she cry herself to sleep?
おかえりなさい。
I'm back. When I stepped into the entry hall, I bumped into Kotari playing with Hat. She was smiling, but that might have been mere bravado.
もうお腹ペコペコよ。早くご飯にしましょう。
Yeah.
双子シスターズは？
They wanted to eat ramen, so they're eating out today.
ラーメンか。いいの？
They were just being considerate of me, though. Kotari took the ingredients out of the refrigerator and quickly started preparing dinner.
今日はハヤシライスだったわね。牛肉解凍しなきゃ。マッシュルームはと。
Are you alright?
どうかな。多分平気じゃないと思う。
Figures. I knew that Kotari was forcing herself to act cheerful. But it seems that she did blow off some of her worries too.
お姉ちゃんとは落ち着いてから話してみる。黙ってたこと謝りたいし。でもお父さんたちには内緒にしとかないといけない。
To keep them from worrying? Kotari shook her head.
お父さんにバレたら無理やりにでも家に連れ戻されちゃうもん。だから今はまだ黙ってないと。
But if Hibari-san tells your dad...
やめてってお願いするつもりよ。夏休みが終わるまでって期限付きで。そしたらあとは自分で話すわ。もしお父さんとお母さんがグライダーに乗っちゃダメって言うなら、その時はすっぱり諦める。この夏で引退ってわけ。去年のあまねちゃんみたいでしょ。
Kotari.
だから葵くんも。
Yeah, I got it. I'm always on your side.
ありがとう葵くん。
Even though she was smiling as she said this, large tears started falling from her eyes.
あれなんだろう。なんで今頃泣いてるの私。
Kotari tried to wipe away her tears with both hands, but they kept flowing.
安心したからかな。葵くんが味方してくれるって分かって。
You don't have to say anything. I leaned over to Kotari and hugged her gently. Kotari buried her face on my shoulder and sobbed.
お姉ちゃんに叩かれたの初めてだよ。すごいびっくりした。
Hibari-san's always been kind.
そうなの、優しいの。私の周りには優しい人いっぱいなの。なのに私自分勝手で
I didn't say anything. I just brushed her hair until she cried herself out. Slam. Some heavy happenings around here.
以上が昨日起こった出来事に関係する我が家の事情です。
We're gonna stop it there, though.
記録しておきました。またいつでも言ってください。記録した。
Oh, wait, no, I want to do this save. Here we go. Not a quick save. Page. They says up a lot of pages for this. I like that.
そう。
Okay. So, a lot of pretty, well, the biggest thing that's happened, obviously, was this last little bit here. So, I mean, I pretty much voiced my opinions on it, right? I think it was way too far going to the length of slapping her, right? I get the frustration. I get that it was like an emotional action. But, yeah. And again, I get the trauma. I get that you don't want to see her have to suffer like that. You don't want to have to see your parents suffer like that. You don't want to suffer watching all of them fall apart again. But again, I still think that I'm more so firmly grounded in the side of it feels a little bit it feels a little bit would ableist be a correct term for this? would that be a term for this? Being like, oh, well, you got injured in a fucking, flight accident, so you shouldn't be flying anymore. Right? How dare you fly? Even though I can see clearly how much you love doing it and how passionate you are about it. So, But, yeah, wow. So, I think we're finally kind of I say this in a lot of these series when we're not anywhere close to the end. We are approaching, I think, maybe the ending bit here where, we're stalking out the Morning Glory, and we're obviously now gonna have to get over this hump of getting approval from Kotori's parents and sister, because we're wanting to surprise her to be the one to fly this thing when the time comes. So that should be pretty interesting. But that's going to be it for this time. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, make sure to leave a like on the video and tell me in the comment section below what you'd like to see me play next. If you enjoyed this video or any other videos or series on my channel, then I highly recommend that you hit the subscribe button and turn on post notifications so you'll be notified when one of those videos comes out. Anyways, that's it for me, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace!